Hi guys, it's Just Honest Fiction and welcome back to my channel. So it has been quite a while since I filmed a book haul. I think the last time I filmed one of these was all the way back in December, and I've acquired quite a few books since then, so I figured it was time to update you guys on what I'll be reading in the next few months. So stick around to hear my springtime book haul. Alright guys, before we get into the list, I just want to let you know that this list is mostly comprised of fantasy, whether it be YA fantasy, adult fantasy, and some romance fantasy. There's also a decent amount of contemporary romance on this list. Now, in my past videos, I really haven't read a lot of contemporary romance. However, I just read one and I loved it, so I went on a little bit of a book buying binge. So there's a few on there. There's also a horror book and I think a couple thrillers. So I hope you guys enjoy. Also, if you're not familiar with my channel, I post new videos on Tuesday and Sunday, and if you haven't yet, please like and subscribe. You can also hit the notification bell to be notified whenever I post new bookish content. Also, I am updating my Instagram. So I started an Instagram, I took a little bit of a break from it, but now I'm back and I'm trying to post every day, and there's a lot of really new cool stuff on there. So please check out my Instagram. I will link it in the description down below. With all that out of the way, let's get into my list. Alright guys, I'm going to do this by genre, and I'm going to start off with YA fantasy because the book I'm most excited for is in the genre, and that is The Prison Healer by Lynette Noni. This is actually the Fairy Loot edition, and it is absolutely stunning. I loved it. But this book follows Kiva, and she is living in Zalandov, which is a prison, and she has been in this prison for 10 years. She's managed to survive, and she's been receiving notes from her family that are just saying, stay alive and wait, we'll come get you. But it's been 10 years, she's starting to lose hope when suddenly the rebel queen is captured and sent to the prison she's in. And she gets another letter from her family that says, keep her alive, we're coming to save you. So Kiva is going to do everything in her power to keep this rebel queen alive. However, she finds out that the rebel queen is going to be sent to do trials. And these are very dangerous trials. No one has ever survived them. But Kiva decides to take the rebel queen's place in these trials in hopes that she can save the queen and her family will come and save her. So far I'm about 3/4 of the way into this, and it's been great. I really am enjoying it. I'm having a few issues with pacing. I think it is very slow, but also it's, I think, a first in a series. I don't think this is a standalone. I might be completely wrong, but typically with first in a series, like, it takes a while to build the world, build the characters. I love the characters in this so much. They're great. There's just a lot of very funny side characters and well-developed side characters. So definitely check this out. Like I said, this is the Fairy Loot edition, and it is just so pretty. So I was very excited to get this. This was also blurbed by Sarah J. Maas, and obviously I love ACOTAR, so I was super excited. But yeah, so I will do a full review of this once I am finished. The next YA fantasy is another book that I've been really looking forward to, and that is Wings of Ebony by Elle, and this sounds so good. It is about a girl who lives a typical life with her family in Houston until her mother is murdered, and she finds out that she's actually half god. Her father lives in this area that's controlled by all of the gods, and she ends up going there, living with him, but then goes back to the human world. I don't know very much about this. I very briefly read the synopsis. I feel like when I read a lot about a book, I spoil the book for myself, so I was trying not to do that with this one, but it's getting very good reviews. I'm very excited to read it, and it's YA fantasy. I mean, it sounds awesome, so super hyped to pick this up. All right, the next book I have actually been pushing off reading since October. I think I bought it last October and didn't get a chance to read it, but it is the perfect fall, spooky, Halloween read, and that is The Strange Case of the Alchemist's Daughter by Theodora Goss. And this follows, I think it's Mary Jekyll, or Mary Hyde, daughter of Jekyll and Hyde, and she is trying to uncover this mystery, and she ends up meeting a bunch of other women who have been experimented on that are all somehow related to other gothic characters. So Frankenstein, Dr. Moreau, Jekyll and Hyde, I already said that, and then Sherlock Holmes. All these really well-known characters are in this book, and it just sounds awesome. Just a bunch of badass women fighting these gothic monsters, or I'm not even sure if that happens. I might be giving you guys false hope, but it just sounds really cool. I love all the characters, and I think it'll be a very, very good read. I've heard amazing things about this series, and it just seems like such a good time, so I'm very excited and I can't wait to check this one out. All right, I'm gonna be completely honest with this next one. I received this as a gift and I knew nothing about it, and then someone talked about it on BookTube and I was like, oh, I really want to read that book. Like, that sounded really good. And then I looked on my bookshelf and I was like, I totally own that book. So I will be adding this to my June TBR. I know nothing about it. However, I am going to read to you guys a small blurb on the back because it sounds awesome. And that is Spin the Dawn by Elizabeth Lim. And the blurb says, with the magic of a fairy tale, the guts and grit of an epic adventure, and the lead character who wields creativity as skillfully as a weapon, this is a gem for all lovers of whimsical fantasy. Everything about that sounds amazing. So I am so excited to pick this up. I can't believe I've had it for a while and just like didn't realize it. I forget who gave this to me, but they said I would like it and I should have listened. So I'm very excited to read this. All right, moving into romance fantasy, which is like one of my favorite subgenres of all time. We have Radiance by Grace Draven. I actually ordered another Grace Draven book, Phoenix Unbound, but I don't know anything about it, and it's not here yet, so we're not going to include it with this whole book haul. But anyway, Radiance, I know, follows I think he's like a monster, and they are in an arranged marriage, and apparently they hate each other to start, but as they get to know each other, obviously love blooms and they find each other attractive. I think they both think each other is like hideous upon meeting each other. But I've heard such good things about this. I think Riley Marie, that channel, she loves this book and talks about it a lot. I will say, I originally was just gonna listen to this on Audible and I wasn't gonna get a physical copy. However, the audiobook narrator for this, I wasn't crazy about. That might be just me, but I normally prefer my books on audio format just because I really like listening to books like when I drive. And for some reason, her voice, I just could not get into, and she had some very weird fluctuations with like adding very long pauses and stuff like that. And I listen to my books at like 2 times speed, and it still felt very slow for me. So just be aware of that. Maybe check out the physical version. I just started this. So far, still getting into it, but I think it will be a really good book. All right, next up is not actually a new book. It's a new book cover, but this is my book haul, so I do what I want, and I'm obsessed with these. So this is from the Bookish box, and it is covers for the ACOTAR books, and they are just absolutely gorgeous. I'm obsessed with them. I got them for all, I didn't get it for A Court of the novella, A Court of Frost and Starlight. I didn't get it for that, but I got it for all the other books, so I'll put a video of what they all look like. But I love these covers. I just think they are so pretty. So especially if you're not a huge fan of their new covers. I like the original hardcovers. I wasn't crazy about, I don't even have them now, but it's they were like gray with like a little pop of color, and it just didn't feel like it really embodied like what the book was about, and I like these way more. So I'll leave a link in the description if you want to purchase these. This is not sponsored. I just love these covers and I wanted to show you guys. All right, moving into adult fantasy, I have Senlin Ascends by Josiah Bancroft. And this follows Senlin, who gets married, and on his honeymoon, he goes to the Tower of Babel and loses his wife. And he has to ascend all of these towers in order to, or ascend the tower in order to find her. And I think he has to go through different trials and different ordeals in order to move up the tower. And I've heard mixed things about this. So I heard it is very like lyrical writing, which it really depends. Sometimes I love, sometimes I hate, and I don't know. We'll see how this goes. Sometimes I'm in the mood for not like so straightforward writing, and I think this will be like that. I don't think it's going to be necessarily a quick read, but it sounds really interesting, and I know it's a series, and I really do want to check it out. So I will be adding this also to my June TBR. I believe it was actually supposed to be in my May TBR, but I don't think I'm going to get to it. All right, guys, the next one I'm going to talk about is thrillers, but I'm actually going to talk about a subgenre of thriller that I never knew of, and that is cozy thriller or cozy mystery. So I had no idea this existed, and they are absolutely adorable. And they are normally set in very small towns, idealistic, quaint towns, and they follow a main character who's either an amateur sleuth, amateur detective, and they're just so cute. And the 2 I read are heavily revolve around food. One owns a restaurant, one owns an ice cream shop, and they're just a good time. So the first one was A Deadly Inside Scoop by Abby Collette, and this follows Bronwyn, who returns home from college to take over her family's ice cream shop. Unfortunately, on her first day, she doesn't get any customers because it's in the middle of winter, who wants to buy ice cream, and to make matters worse, she stumbles upon a dead body. And it doesn't take long for the police to begin to suspect her father of being responsible. So she has to prove that her father was not involved, and also who was killed and why. So, like I said, very good time, very fun read. I do think this book had a couple issues, more writing style and pacing, but that's personally just my opinion. I would definitely check it out. Also, if you've never read a cozy mystery and just want to get your feet wet, this is a good one to start with. So yeah, definitely check out A Deadly Inside Scoop by Abby Collette. The next cozy thriller I adored. I loved it. And it's actually the reason I picked up A Deadly Inside Scoop, and that is Arsenic and Adobo by Mia P. Manansala. And this was a book of the month pick that I just randomly was like, the cover looks cool, didn't look into it very much, and it was great. So it follows our main character, who's Lila Makabagal, and she is just finished up a very bad breakup, moves back in with her aunts to take care of a restaurant, and she loves cooking fusion food. Her family's Filipino, they make Filipino food. The food descriptions in this, oh my goodness, I need recipes. So if anyone knows any really good Filipino recipes, please let me leave them in the comments below. I've been looking, everything in this book just sounds amazing. But anyway, they own this restaurant. She likes to make fusion food. And one day her ex-boyfriend comes in, who is also a food critic, and he's been writing terrible things about her family's restaurant. And she's trying to be nice to him. She gives him food, and then he drops down dead. So obviously the police suspect her right away, and she has to figure out who actually killed her ex-boyfriend and why. And it's great. And I feel like, unlike the last book I just talked about, A Deadly Inside Scoop, this one was very gripping and kept me on the edge of my seat the entire time. It was very suspenseful, and the stakes felt real. At one point, she goes to jail, and I was worried for her. So I really like this book. Also, like I said, super quick read. So definitely check this out. I was pleasantly surprised by how much I enjoyed this. Also, I would check this out on Audible. I read this physical, and then I actually listened to it again on Audible just because I liked it so much. So yeah. Couldn't recommend this one more. All right, guys, the next thriller I know nothing about. However, it was recommended to me by the same person who recommended No Exit, and No Exit is my favorite thriller of all time, so I trust this person's opinion. And that is The Sundown Motel by Simone St. James. I don't know very much about this. I know it is a dual perspective story taking place in New York. I believe the first perspective is in the past, and it's this woman who is staying at a hotel that she thinks is haunted, and then the present timeline is a relative of the original person who's trying to figure out and solve her disappearance. So it sounds like a fun time. And I love reading thrillers and horror books in the summer and into the fall just because I don't know, something about the summer makes me want to read fun, quick reads. So looking forward to checking this out. The next book is kind of a horror thriller, and it was one I was very excited to pick up last October. I ended up picking up The Year of the Witching instead, and I kind of regretted it because I heard this one's really good. But like I said, I knew nothing about it because I didn't want to get spoiled, and that is The Haunting of Brynn Wilder. Once again, very popular on BookTube, and it looked like a really fun read. It's also very short, and the front blurb says, suspenseful and engrossing, a chilling fireside tale, which just seems right up my alley. So I'm definitely looking forward to checking this one out. All right, guys, sorry if my angle changed a little bit. My camera battery died, and I had to replace it, and then my field monitor died, and it was a whole ordeal. Anyway, I'm now gonna move into my contemporary romance pile. There's a decent amount. So I wanna start by saying, I kind of gave up on contemporary romance for a little bit. I just wasn't reading anything that I really enjoyed. And then I read Well Met by DeLuca. This book is amazing. I loved it so much. And I thought, the premise sounded cool. So it's about a girl that ends up she's taking care of her sister who's been in a car accident, and her niece ends up signing up for a volunteer Renaissance fair where she falls in love with this kind of snippy guy. And it was just the humor and everything about this book I loved. And I've already reread it, which is insane because I don't reread contemporary romance, and I don't normally enjoy them at all. And I just love this. And it also is very, I don't think it's a cut to black love scene, but it's not very graphic. It's a great book. And it felt like a Hallmark movie, and I just really liked it. So that re-sparked my joy of contemporary romance, and I bought a bunch. So let's talk about them. All right, so the first book I had to get was Well Played by DeLuca. This is the second book in the Well Met series. I don't know if there's actually a name for the series, but all of these books take place at a Renaissance fair. And this follows Stacy, who is in Well Met, and she is a woman who is taking care of her very ill mother, and she meets someone at fair, and they develop a relationship. I think this one is friends to lovers. I know the other one was enemies to lovers. I'm not positive. I've also heard mixed reviews about this one. A lot of people say it's not as good as the first. I hope that's not true because I love the first so much, but we will see. I'm very excited to read this. I will definitely be doing a full review on all of the series once I finish it. But yeah, this is definitely going to be read very, very soon. All right, the next two contemporary romances are extremely popular, and I'm very late to the game with these, but I haven't read them yet. And they are both by Sally Thorne, and that is The Hating Game and Second First Impressions. Both of these sound really good. I think they're both office romances. I could be totally wrong. I don't know, guys. But I know this one obviously is hate to love. It has a lot of reviews on Goodreads. A lot of people recommend this if you want to get into contemporary romance. I'm one of those people. So I hope I like it as much as everyone else. I feel like there's such a polar sides. People either love this book or they absolutely despise it. So I'm interested to see where I fall. I picked this up just because I think it was I bought this book. I got this one half off from wherever I got it, Barnes & Noble's, somewhere. However, this one seems to be getting not such great reviews. I still want to read it just because I want to form my own opinions, but I'm a little bit more nervous about this one than The Hating Game. It doesn't seem like people are as big a fan of this one, but we will see. I'm very interested in exploring all of these contemporary romance. Next up, we have another two by the same author, and that is Beach Read by Emily Henry. I know this follows two writers. I think this is Hate to Love that are, I think, competing to write a novel. I've heard this one is much more emotional than what a lot of people were expecting. I actually started this a while ago. I got this. Started reading it, and then was like, I forget, something happened. I ended up putting it down. I don't think I was in the emotional headspace for it. And I remember being like, this isn't what I thought. I was expecting a little bit more fluff, and this was kind of a heavy. So I'm going to be picking this back up. I'm very excited. I'll probably start it from the beginning. I think I was halfway through, but oh well. And then the other one is People We Meet on Vacation. I think this is her newer release. I got this from Book of the Month. And I think it's friends who end up losing touch, but then go on vacation together and develop a romance. I know very little. I know a lot of people are reading this currently, and it sounds like a fun time. I think if I like beach read, I'll probably enjoy this since it is by the same author. So we will see. I'm excited to check out both of these. I might push these two off to July just because I feel like they are such a summery and I don't know. I mean, look at this cover. This just screams summer. So we will see when I read these. And the next romance is another one that is perfect for the summertime, so this will probably get pushed off to my July TBR, and that is The Unhoneymooners by Christina Lauren. I've never read a Christina Lauren book before, so we will see how I feel about this. I know it follows two people that are, I think they're enemies. They don't like each other, but they have to pretend to be newlyweds in order to go on this honeymoon because everyone at the wedding they were at got sick. So it sounds very funny. It sounds like it could be a Hallmark movie, which I feel like is what is needed to make a good contemporary romance, but I'm interested in reading this. I've heard, like I said, a lot of mixed stuff. This is another one that is either people love it or they absolutely hate it. So we will see how I feel about it, but I am excited to pick it up. And the last romance on this list, I'm also super excited to read, and that is Red, White, and Royal Blue. And this follows, I believe, he is the president's son, and he is a British royal, and they end up developing a relationship. And I've heard such good things about this, and I think this is the perfect book. I might do a reading vlog where I read this around the 4th of July. I just love the colors and everything, but it seems like a really good time. Also a perfect summer read. Summer makes me want to read thrillers and contemporary romances. It's a very weird pairing, but that's what I want to do. So I'm very excited for the warmer weather and to just jump into these books. All right, we've come to our last book. It's actually a comic or graphic novel, and that is Saga by Brian Vaughan and Fiona Staples. And this follows Alana and Marco, and they are from these dueling planets. Actually, Alana is from a planet where everyone has wings, and Marco is from the moon of that planet where everyone has some sort of horns. So not necessarily those wings, those horns, they all just have wings or they have horns. And they've been fighting forever. They're two peoples, And obviously these two end up getting together and now they're running. It's very like a Romeo and Juliet type situation. They are running from both of their populations essentially. And it's been really good. I will say there is a lot of nudity in this that I was not expecting. You get a lot of images of that, but I think the story is awesome. It's really fun. They have this child and they're trying to protect her, and it's great. I'm really enjoying this. I felt like the last few graphic novels I've read, I really haven't enjoyed, mostly because of the artwork. Also, I need to stop. I say this in like every video that I don't like Neil Gaiman, and I don't want to seem like I absolutely despise him, but every time I pick up Neil Gaiman stuff, I kind of go into a reading slump. Funny enough, this is a complete tangent. I was trying to read this book on mythology, Norse mythology, and I could not get into it. And I'm just so typically into that kind of stuff. And I tried reading the book like 3 times. And then finally I looked at the author and I was like, oh my God, it's Neil Gaiman. I can't, for some reason, can't do it. So anyway, the last comic I tried to read was The Sandman by Neil Gaiman, and I hated it. And I was really worried that I wasn't gonna get into any. And I love this. I just think this is such a fun time. I love both characters, and I'm happy it's a graphic novel. I could totally see this being like a series, like a show series, if they adapted it. I think it would be so good, but I'm really, really liking this. Like I said, there is a lot of violence, which I guess is to be expected, a lot of nudity, sex, graphic, everything, but the overall story is just awesome. So definitely, if you're in the mood, I haven't heard a lot of people talk about this. I'm sure it's very popular. I just don't read a lot of comics, but check out Saga. It's really good. All right, guys, that is it for my book haul. There is a decent amount of books on this list. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you have read any of these books or you recommend me picking up any books that I didn't list here, please let me know in the comments down below, or you could DM me on Instagram. I'm trying to answer all of those as best I can. And I already said this, but I post new videos every Tuesday and Sunday. And if you haven't yet, please like and subscribe to my channel. I will see you guys next week. Bye.